BMAdawg here, and welcome to the third episode of the Beantown edition of the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. Starting things off, we're going to go into our combat challenge with Harvard, BC, BU, Northeastern. We're starting it off with the ladies and some Hockey East Championship taking place with two of these teams. Who are they? Let's find out. And then we'll go to the men's, where one of the teams is top ranked in all of the country in nationwide NCAA ranking. Who is it? Let's find out. And then we'll go to sunny Florida for some Red Sox spring training. There's some breaking news. Alex Cora revealed the first 4 or 5 batters for potential opening day lineup. Who are they and who's hurt? We will find out. And then we will go to your reigning, defending world champion Boston Celtics, as they had some easy and tough, no in between homestand, including a rivalry showcase with the LA Lakers. Can the Beantown Boston 3-point party continue and keep momentum? Then we'll shift gears to transactions and trade deadlines. Oh my, as the New England Patriots actually spent their money now that the lighthouse is completed, and they have signed some big free agents. And are we going to get a wide receiver to help Drake May? And then we'll shift gears to trade deadline. We said hi, we say bye to some old Boston legends I'm sad to see go, including legendary nose-face killer Brad Marchand, who will be our main event segment of the evening, closing the night with a tribute for all his contribution. Turn out the sound, pack your cars, it's time for the Beantown Sports Pound. Woo! All right. Welcome, everybody, to my third episode of the Beantown Sports Pound, part of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. I am your host, BMAdawg, and we got an action-packed show today, and it's only the third episode. Holy crap. As we're going to start things off with our combat challenges, as we're getting towards March Madness. Unfortunately, Boston's not that strong, as I explained last week, with the men's college and women's college basketball. There may be one team representing both in the March Madness, but hockey, on the other hand, is underrated how much our staple is. Everyone knows we're known for chowder, love for donkeys and coffee. I'm caffeinating to keep up. But our hidden jewel is our college hockey programs. And our women's, 2 of the teams faced off against each other, BU and Northeastern, to fight for an automatic bid. And then we'll go to the men's, where BC Eagles are top ranked in the country. And then we'll talk about your Boston Red Sox as they revealed the top 5 and some injury news. We also have some Celtics homestand, longest of the season, and they are fighting against the top-ranked Oklahoma City Thunder. As we speak, we'll have a live look-in and recap how they are doing so far. I love all those threes, baby. And then we'll switch gears to transactions and trade deadline. Breaking news, Bob Kraft decided to spend his wallet. I am shocked as you, but our lighthouse is completed in one Patriot place, so that is not that surprising. And then who did we pick up? Did we get a receiver? We will find out later. And we will end our night on your main event, the segment of the evening. As I am sad, we are all stunned. Now, I predicted the Bruins would be sellers, but holy crap, did they light a fire. I am sad to see a bunch of guys go, including legendary captain Brad Marchand, who has been beloved for years in Boston ever since Tom Brady departed David Ortiz. He's been one of our biggest icons besides Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown at the moment. We are all crushed to see him go to the Panthers. How did they make out in the trade deadline? Will they have a fighting chance to get in? And then we will end our tribute noting our legendary conversation to close out the show. And don't go anywhere, folks. We will hear a word from our lovely sponsors before we kick off our third show. Woof!
IE Sports Radio fans, This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, folks. Thank you for all our wonderful sponsors, Planet Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and Vital Apparel. Some of their stuff goes to mental health, which is a very important topic we'll talk about in a few months in mental health awareness. And follow our company, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. They are not only on X, where we're live streaming, they're on Twitch now, Facebook, YouTube, and more. And catch our one last sponsor before we talk tonight. Our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. At GetRawNutrition.com, you can use a free promo code IESR for 10% off all vitamins, protein powders, and more. And you can also follow your boy BMAdawg on X on our professional account at Beantown_IESR. And don't worry, I know I'm not saying it right, but I'm a Bostonian. I don't pronounce my R's. All right, let's get started for our opener segment, shall we? And don't forget, we have our supporters club now. That's right. You can donate only $5 a month. We'll get some perks as we go on, but support not only myself, our great program, so we can expand across the country. And if you're not a fan of my Boston teams, there's a bunch of other teams. There's something for everybody, no matter how big or small their exposure is on IE Sports Radio. So help us all out. And our opener segment is scheduled for one fall, and it is our Hockey East ladies. That's right, folks. The Hockey East regular season has concluded, and we have our standings right here. The BU Terriers women are one of the best right now. Their overall record is 23-11-2. The Hockey East record is 18-7-2. They are ranked 13th in the nation in the NCAA women's poll, followed by, in the standings, Boston College Lady Eagles. They are 16-9-2 in Hockey East Conference play, and they are 21-13-2 and ranked 14th in the nation in college hockey. Then our Northeastern Lady Huskies conference play is 15-11-1, and overall they're 22-13-1. And last but not least, unfortunately, they struggled this year. Harvard Crimson, they are 1-20-1 this year in ECAC play with an overall record of 2-25-2, but they are trying to build something new, so things are going to take time. But our Hockey East Conference teams are BU Terriers, Boston College Eagles, and Northeastern Huskies. It started in the semifinals where both BC and BU played each other in the semifinals, while Northeastern played UConn in the semifinals, where they hosted the Hockey East Women's Final. BC and BU defeated Vermont and Maine with, ironically, the same record, 4-3, to advance to the semis, and Northeastern defeated Providence 3-2 to advance. As much as there's some teams that are always making it far in women's hockey, all their matchups are very competitive, and the biggest rivalry in college, BC and BU played each other in the hockey's semis, which went to double overtime, and BU getting a victory, and Northeastern had an easier task, defeating UConn 3-1 in the semifinal. Our overall leaders for our BC Eagles include sophomore Julia Perrin with 20 goals, and Sammy Tabor, who's a junior, leads the team in assists with 25. Leaders for Northeastern women's hockey include, for goals, Skylar Irving and Lily Shannon with 17 and 16 apiece. Irving led the team in points with 33. The Lady Huskies, so dominant, they had 5 females tied for the team with 16 assists each. They are Skylar Irving, Eloise Karen, Jaden Bojan, Tuva Candle, and freshman goaltender Alicia Johnson had a 17-9 record for the team. And the leaders for BU include Sydney Healy led the team in goals with 15. Christina Vogt led the team with 19 assists. And Callie Shanahan had a breakout season with an 18-8-2 record. All 3 starting goalies for BC, BU, and Northeastern were in the top 5 for Hockey East for goaltending, ranking 2, 3, and 4 respectively. And the two teams that played each other to get an automatic berth in the NCAA Women's Frozen Four tournament that's happening this weekend is the Northeastern Lady Huskies and the BU Terriers. The Huskies have made the Hockey's finals. This is mind-blowing for the 9th consecutive year, as much as the Patriots before Patrick Mahomes with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs making it at least 8 consecutive years in the AFC Championship. The biggest difference maker of the game was the Huskies going 1 for 5 in the power play advantage. They did score 1, but it did come back to haunt them. But the first goal went to BU, and Tamara Gintino on defense, assisted by both Welk sisters in the first period. Lily Shannon of Northeastern got 2 unanswered goals for the Huskies to go up 2-1. BU tied it up at the beginning of the third period. Then Sydney Harley scored the game-winning overtime goal to send BU to the NCAA tournament. Congrats on both teams for a great season to face Clarkson Bulldogs this weekend, Thursday at 8 p.m. They are the only team in this area to make the Frozen Four tournament, and they also won their last 3 games. All their playoff games have been in overtime. How impressive is that? I am looking forward to see what women's hockey can do in the future, and I hope we can get them some big buzz, and I will scout more next year. And we're going to move on today to the men's hockey East. If you can see the banners, they are red because all 4 of those teams, the common denominator is they have the red color in them. So that's why the banner is appropriate. And your number 1 team in the nation and in Boston is the Boston College Eagles. They are 18-4-2 in Hockey East Conference play, 26-6-2, and ranked number 1 in the country. And the BU Terriers are ranked number 13 in the nation, 20-12-2 in conference play. That they also won the Bean Pot this year. The Northeastern Huskies went 7-14-3 in conference play and 12-19-3 nationwide. The Harvard Crimson aren't in the Hockey East. They are in the ECAC, which all the other Ivy League schools are in too that have a hockey program. They are 12-15-3 in conference play. They are 9-10-3. We'll start off with the Crimson. Crimson played RIT in the first round. They defeated them 5-2 to advance the ECAC second round to play Clarkson tonight, who was number 2 in the conference, while Quinnipiac College, who won a few years ago, is top in that division. The Harvard Crimson will have to win out in this tournament to get into the play. Mick Thompson and Casey Savrio leads the team in goals with 15 and 12 each. They also lead the team in points with 29 and 25 each. Joe Miller is the second in the team in not only points but assists, as 17 and 22 points. Good luck to the Crimson tonight. And we'll move on to Northeastern, who plays Merrimack in the Hockey East quarterfinal, as BC and BU got a first round bye, automatically playing in this Saturday. And they will, BU, since they're number 3, will play the highest remaining seed, while BC at number 1 will play the lowest remaining seed. But Northeastern plays Merrimack in Hockey East quarterfinal, and they will have to win out to get in the Frozen Four. They are led by Jack Williams, a junior and assist with 23 and points and 38. The leading goal scorers are Cam Lund with 16 and Williams and Dylan Harikiwonen with 15. It's amazing to have a pair of siblings who are really good at hockey. BU is number 3 in Hockey East and 6 in the nation, and will play the higher seed that comes out of the first round, as they are led by coach and former NHL player Jay Pandolfo. They are led by the Hudson brothers. One is a forward and the other is a 10th defenseman, Quinn and Cole, respectively, and they are junior and freshman. They are the top 2 in points with 46 and 39, respectively. Cole Easerman, a freshman, and Quinn Hudson lead the team in goals with 20 apiece. BU leads Hockey East with goals in 129 and power play percentage with 27%. They are tied with Maine for power play opportunities at 126. The number 1 ranked BC Eagles, led by Greg Brown, succeeding legendary Jerry York, former longtime coach, and BU, it was an end of an era as BU's Jack Parker retired around the same time too. They are led by Coach Greg Brown. They have won the Hockey East Division, so they automatically can get a bid in the Frozen Four tourney. Congratulations. The top 2 point getters are Ryan Leonard, who's a sophomore forward, and Gabe Paramount at 46 points each. Leonard leads the teams in goals with 29, and Paramount in assists with 31. Goaltender Jacob Fowler had 7 shutouts of the season, and defenseman for Gustavo had 19 blocked shots of the season and named the Hockey East Defender of the Month. It is going to be interesting because don't forget, folks, the semifinals and finals are March 18th and 19th at TD Garden, which I imagine at least one of those BCBU team will represent in these. Now before we move on, let's look at the comments section. Karen Rodriguez, who runs our SoCal teams and Los Angeles teams, and sorry about your Lakers, buddy, my team was better. He represented IE Sports Radio in the National Volleyball Tournament. Congratulations on your trip. And Adam Karnick, who runs our Chicago sports teams and our hockey show, The Neutral Zone, said, "Hello, Brian. Have a great show." Hello to you too, my friend. And Glenn of the Bold North Breakdown, who runs our Minnesota division, said to have a great show. Thank you, pal. SKOL. And Taryn Rodriguez also responded, "Congrats to the Celtics on the win over my Lakers. Frustrating loss in more ways than one, but I hope this loss spurs a turnaround for the Lakers. Who knows, as your face of the franchise has some kind of injury." But we will get to that later. And Ralph Calise of the Yinzer Report for our Pittsburgh division wrote, "Brian, the Patriots were busy and went for it. Have a great show." They sure have, and I am shocked as many as we're going to have our second half of the show with some shockwaves. All right, we are going to move on to spring training for our Boston Red Sox coverage. That is right, folks. Spring training first 5 men have been revealed by Alex Cora. We're not going to get too much into the Red Sox today because we have an action-packed show, but unfortunately we have news that one of their top starters, Brian Bello, will start on the season on injured reserve. He will definitely miss opening day, and he will be missed, but the potential starting pitchers are Garrett Whitlock, Garrett Crochet, Walker Buehler, and Tanner Hoke, but we're going to have some open competition for not only a fifth pitcher, but our closer, as well as I think Chapman, the reliever we got from the Pirates and the Angels, should be our closer because he's the only one that's looking defense. Our Achilles heel for the Red Sox that prevented them from getting into the playoffs last year, going 81-81, was our bullpen. We have one of the worst bullpens in baseball. We gave up from our bullpens probably over 6 innings pitch. I am excited to see what they look like. But Alex Cora revealed our top 5 opening day potential starters are going to be All-Star MVP leading off Jarren Duran. Then Rafael Devers, who is still injured and yet to make his spring training debut. They keep delaying it. Let's hope it's worth the long run. Our 2-time World Series champion, former Gold Glove winner, and newly Sox acquisition, Alex Bregman, will be a third power hitter. First baseman, and was about to win Rookie of the Year before his injury, Tristan Cassis. And second baseman / shortstop, the guy we got from Colorado who missed most of last year, Trevor Story, will be our first 5 hitters. To see who's going to be our bottom feeders from 6 to 9, I think Connor Wong will be one of them. Yoshida, if they make him DH. And it remains to see what others, including our hottest star right now for the Red Sox. I know I talked about we're all excited for Christian Campbell, may start the season opening day as a reserve, Roman Anthony, and Marcelo Minor. But Trace Thompson has hit 6 home runs in spring training. He hit 12 RBIs and stole 3 bases But one of the Red Sox who's been struggling the most, who is on a borderline between, he had an injury last year, a reliever and a starting pitcher, is Josh Winnikowski. He gave up 11 hits, giving up 5 walks and 2 home runs, which looked like after recovering from a right lateral leg injury, he'll be competing for a starting job. But I am so happy with the Bregman sign, as well as many people in Boston. I know it's a loss for the Astros, but it's not as big of a loss. I know Sox-Yankees is a big rivalry. I gave my heartfelt sympathies for Garrett Cole, who has to have Tommy John surgery, which is unfortunate because I was looking forward. We have Father's Day tickets for the Red Sox-Yankees for my dad's 60th birthday, and I was hoping to see him pitch, but they still got Aaron Judge and a bunch of power hitters. It won't make the rivalry the same. I'm looking forward to turning up the rivalry as the Sox have a chance to compete for the AL East with Baltimore and Toronto. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to do as well this year, but get well soon, Garrett Cole, because guys haven't been the same as competing right out of the gate. Tommy John surgery takes a year to get through, and it won't be the same. Even as Steven Strasburg, former Washington National, you did end up winning the World Series, but the Nats were never the same after that. But not only has Bregman proven to he home run again, and Trevor Story had 2 home runs a couple days ago in the spring training action, but he bought suit for all these Red Sox rookies, whether they're going to be in Worcester or Portland to start the season. He gave them all suits. Like, if that doesn't make you more excited by showing good sportsmanship, I don't know what will. But their biggest battle so far is who's going to be in second base if they make Devers the DH and Bregman play third. Since Story's locked in the shortstop, he also has Christian Campbell competing, or Von Grusom, who got the trade from the Braves as part of the Chris Sale trade. But I feel like Mass Health paid for his contract here. So, but of course, once he goes to Atlanta, he starts winning Cy Youngs and striking out players. Just out luck this past year, but I think it's time to reverse. It's not a curse like it's the Bambino for 86 years, but big news, which some of you probably aren't surprised by this. Legendary Mo Vaughn has admitted to using human growth hormone during his tenure in the early 90s with the team. Is that really surprising? I'll admit, part of the mainstream when baseball was at its best, the Sox-Yankees rivalry did take place at a time baseball needed a positive press. Guys like McGuire, Sammy Sosa, those guys were all roided. So human growth hormone isn't that big of a deal compared to them, which isn't good anyways. But we are going to move on from some Red Sox spring training. Opening day is in a few weeks, but it is started by the Cubs and the Dodgers. They will open their season in Tokyo. That is right, folks. Let's go back in the comments section. Terrence said, actually, it wasn't the NCAA beach tournament, just a weekend of NCAA beach volleyball in the regular season. Hats off to you, my friend. That's still quite the accomplishment. But we are going to close our first half of the evening with your reigning, defending heavyweight champions of the world, your Boston Celtics, who are currently in a battle with the best team in the Western Conference right now. That is right, folks. They are currently live against the OKC Thunder with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has a bunch of 50-point games. Last time I checked, they were trailing by 3, but it basically became a high-scoring game anyways. But can the three parties step up and continue their winning streak after a thrilling home win against the Los Angeles Lakers? All right, folks, the Celtics have been unbelievable. There are guys that have been stepping up for the team when someone got injured. I went to the game this past Monday night against the league worst Utah Jazz, which Jason Tatum, unfortunately, was injured, so he didn't play, which is disappointing. But the highlight of this homestand is the newly anticipated Big Three of the national rivalry with LeBron James, Austin Reeves, and Luka Doncic, who was acquired for Anthony Davis and the Mavs on a trade. But they are also on ABC this past Saturday night. But before that, they played the Celtics, played the Trailblazers right after my second episode. They defeated Portland 128-18. There was history made as sixth man of the year. Peyton Pritchard and Derek White stepped up and became the first pair of Celtics in history to have multiple players score 40 points in one game. That is amazing, folks. Peyton Pritchard had 43 while White had 41. Pritchard had a double-double with 10 rebounds as well. White attempted a record 17 three-pointers. Tatum was out this game as well as Jrue Holiday and Porzingis. There's unfortunate news for Porzingis as he's battling some kind of illness that hasn't been made public, except he revealed he is feeling an illness. Take your time, buddy. I know coming back from an injury last year is very tough, but I know get well with your illness and take your time. The Blazers were led like Anthony Simmons with over 30 points a game. Jabari Walker was the sixth man who made things more difficult for the C's while draining all 6 3-point attempts. But the biggest battle, they played the Sixers the day after, who isn't the same. They were back-to-back at TD Garden. It was felt like a minor league preseason game because Joel Embiid was out. Kelly Oubre Jr. had to carry the load while Tyrone Massey was also injured as well. Naminas Quinta stepped up on defense, grabbing 9 rebounds, but he didn't have the greatest game in the first half after an interaction with Coach Mazzulla. But then after being benched for most of the second quarter, he made the most of his opportunities, and he had a sick alley-oop over back-to-back dunks, but unlike the Coffee Brown, there was no Cup of Joe in sight. Peyton Pritchard still stepped up his game, getting 19 points over other bench players who got to see some rep time, including first-round pick from Creighton, Baylor Shearman, who had over 30 minutes of playing time. He was our number 1 pick last year, and fans are happy. They want to see Torrey Craig get more playing time. He went 2 for 2 in his field goal attempts with 4 points. But Jason Tatum, after missing the game, carried the Celtics to 35 points without Jaylen Brown and Hauser. They can't keep catching a break. Their whole team's not healthy. When one guy gets injured, so does the other, and vice versa. Kelly Oubre Jr. of the Sixers carried the load with 27 points, and he had 3 steals most of the night. But the difference maker for the Celtics, he gave up a ton of turnovers. One of my highlights of the game was Derek White going for the layout, and he is tough. Like I explained last week when Stroud said the Cavs knocked him out when he was going for a rebound. He had worse luck. It will cost a high dental bill if he doesn't have insurance because Oubre Jr. smacked his tooth out, and he ended up coming back in the game, which is amazing. And now moving on to the national rivalry of the Los Angeles Lakers, which the Celtics had a big win, 111 points to 101. I am amazed. But the Jason Tatum came into the game getting insulted by a bunch of experts, not getting the credit he is. He is leading the Celtics in all most categories and points, rebounds. He doesn't get the credit for being a face of the franchise like a LeBron James should. But he got the last laugh as the third quarter, LeBron James was having a great game, and it was a momentum-changing game when Jason Tatum accidentally did a stiff arm going for a layup, and LeBron James hurt his groin and caused him to cry. He's out for 1 to 2 weeks, which was different in the game as that Lakers team was hard to answer. They came into this game second in the West, tied with the Nuggets and Grizzlies for second to fourth in the Western Conference. But like the Eastern Conference, where the Cavs are up by the Celtics by like 7 games, the Thunder are leading the Western Conference by a bunch of games too, as those two teams are playing each other. This was Luka Doncic's first game in Boston since last year's clinching Game 5 NBA championship. Tatum and Brown, they were both healthy, and like the game last week against the Trailblazers, they got 71 combined out of 111 points, which is amazing. If those two are healthy, I have no doubt the Celtics will go to at least the conference. I feel like the West is more of a challenge. Not only the 4 teams I mentioned, which Jay Morant is out for an injury with the Grizzlies, but you got the Jimmy Butler trade. Speaking of Jimmy Butler's former teams playing the Celtics in this upcoming homestand. Holiday returned after missing 5 games due to a finger injury, but let's get back to the Warriors. Curry gets a new weapon with Jimmy Butler, who hurt the Celtics in 2023 Eastern Conference Finals. And the play of the week in this game was Jaylen Brown getting the steal from Luka Doncic, connecting the ball on Al Horford. Horford got a slam dunk with his leg slamming onto Doncic, which I'm surprised wasn't an offensive foul. And that, folks, is how you do a highlight reel. Like I said, the third quarter, the Celtics have been really good and starting up in their game. But the fourth quarter, I've noticed they have been getting down and kind of letting teams get back. But the Lakers seem to struggle with little to no production outside of Austin Reeves, who did get 18 points on the game, but they barely stepped up in the second half. But before we move on, I'll review the game I went to. He came off a 40-point game versus Tatum. The Jazz, despite their last place finish, have the 4th most rebounds in a game, coming in with Walker Kessler leading average 12.4 a game. But the Jazz, as bad as they are, they have one of the worst offenses, but they are probably going to get better after this year, kind of like how the Pistons took a huge leap this year after losing so many games last year. As Danny Ainge, who was responsible for making the 2008 Big Three happen and win the 17th title, he is running that, right, folks, the Utah Jazz, which this game, I was amazed how Sam Hauser, who had a goose egg legit, even look up the box score, against the Los Angeles Lakers, he had 33 points, had over 9 threes. The Celtics made history in this game, which Tatum, Pritchard, Derek White had 4 players which had 9 or more three in a single game, which 7 3-pointers, which avoided the upset and humiliation in one quarter. Congrats to Sam Hauser. Jaylen Brown had a decent game, but he did make some turnovers in the fourth quarter to give the Jazz opportunities, but thankfully they did not go. Before we get in, they did not make the upset. Before we get into everything, our upcoming stand is they're playing Oklahoma City, which has the best defense, like the Celtics, top 5 offense and defense, with SGA as your MVP frontrunner, with Tatum had a lot of 50-point games. Their upcoming homestand is March 14th at the Heat, which is led by Bam Adebayo, who is a rebound machine and is known for getting physical with the Celtics in all their postseason matchups. But they have back-to-back games, one home and one away, against the Brooklyn Nets, who thank you for the trade for Paul Pierce and KG when they were retiring, as they are responsible for all the draft picks to leading the super team we have now. They are led by Carrion Johnson in points with 18 per game and rebounds by Nick Claxton with 7.4 a game. And we are going to move on, folks, and take a commercial break as we are going to switch gears. Unfortunately, I apologize to my soccer fans. We do not have enough time for a Revolution talk tonight, as we have an action-packed show, a lot of information, especially with transactions and trades. And we are going to take a commercial break, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon, all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Minnesota sports? Do you love the Vikings and hate the Packers? Are you a fan of the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild, Lynx, St. Paul Saints? Here on the Bold North Breakdown, we'll talk about all of those professional teams as well as all the college teams in the area. That's your basketball teams, football, hockey, volleyball, men's and women's sports alike. We talk about them all. Here on the Bold North Breakdown. Join me, your host, Glenn Ritter, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central to discuss all that is happening in the Minnesota sports scene here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in to my action-packed show tonight. So far, we went over Hockey East men and women's, some Sox spring training, recap some of the Celtics quite a bit as they are in a dogfight with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are down 103-98. But next week, we are going to bring the Revolution back as they have their opener. They played the Philadelphia Union in the losing effort. They played the New York Football Club this week, and they have a bye week, so I'm going to get 2 recaps done in one and looking forward to future. And now let's move on to our second half of the show, trades, oh my, and some signings with our New England Patriots. Holy cow, they have the most cap space in the NFL, and Kraft decided to open up his wallet after moving on from Gerard Mayo to Mike Vrabel. We made a lot of splash on day one today. Well, technically the announcements were on Monday, but holy cow, folks, I am pretty shocked. I don't know about you, but I am shocked at all the moves they have made, including grabbing former Boston College and Titans defensive player. They signed a lot of guys. They have signed left and right tackles as well. They have also signed Harold Landry, outside linebacker who used to play for Mike Vrabel and a former BC Eagle, for 3 years, $43.5 million, $26 million guaranteed. That's good because they will be great for stopping the run. But our biggest signing of the day is Super Bowl winner and 2-time sack winner with the Eagles, defensive tackle Milton Williams. He's going to make $26 million over 3 years. And he had 2 sacks in the Super Bowl to Kermit the Frog. Oh, I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes. He sacked him twice. And that was, I'm disappointed at how lopsided the Super Bowl was, but I'm glad with the outcome, obviously. That is a great leadership because I don't know if you caught our Vegas feed last night of IE Sports, but he made a great point that a lot of teams should start building with building your defense and getting a good run with the lines. And I think Vrabel's doing that because we have Josh McDaniels as our offensive coordinator, because we also signed a right tackle from the New York Jets, Morgan Moses, for 3 years, $24 million, $11 million is guaranteed. This is a good pickup because Aaron Rodgers may have flopped in New York, and who knows where he's going to go. He may not want to come back. He may want to come back. Maybe he does a Brett Favre and goes to the Vikings, for crying out loud. But if you have Breece Hall being able to be dominant and having guys open like Garrett Wilson in New York, that is a good pickup, because we need Ramondre Stevenson, our current lead back right now, is going to need that help. And you got fourth signing is Carlton Davis from the Detroit Lions for 3 years, $60 million. He had a multi-pick game against the Houston Texans this year, joining Christian Gonzalez as the 1-2 punch in the secondary. Christian Gonzalez has been our face of our defense the past 2 years. He was injured most of the 2023 season, but he stops wide receivers you have as your wideout run in your fantasy leagues. He stops them to under 100 yards a game, which is pretty impressive in this day and age. But Carlton Davis, I'm looking forward to that pickup. A great 1-2 punch. He also started his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, playing for our legends, my favorite player of all time, winning a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, TB12, and Gronk in Tampa Bay during the 2020 lockout years, where over 5 years ago, the world stopped and sports were weird, having no fans, some fans. What a time that was. We also got from Las Vegas linebacker Robert Spillane, who's 3 year, $37 million. This will help get to the pass rush, because Rabel is about defense. Like, the Pats were one of the worst teams in stopping the run. And a lot of people are shocked because we didn't get a big receiver. We did get wide receiver Matt Collins from the Bills, who had a nice catch for a touchdown in that AFC Championship game. But we also got Kayshon Boutte and Pop Douglas and Kendrick Bourne as our receiver. Don't forget Poker Baker, who, if they remain, hopefully we get more production out of them. Because I know everyone's upset because we didn't get our wide receiver number one. But there is rumors. I don't know if you heard, folks. There is a rumor that we may get Cooper Kupp, former Super Bowl MVP of the Los Angeles Rams, as they released him today. Or Brandon Ayuk, who we could get in the trade. I don't think we'll get T. Higgins because they franchise tagged him. But out of those three, I really want Cooper Kupp, because since we don't have to trade for him or give up anything or overpay for him, I think he'd be a great influence. No matter who we get, whether we get Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter or one of those linemen, either Campbell or Alt, I think that is a great move if we could get Kupp, because Drake May needs a number one guy. Because even though we want to build our teams with good offensive, defensive lines to protect the quarterback or get to the quarterback for the opposite end, I think we really do need to get a wide receiver one, as most of New England will agree, because our top receivers like a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase will make a huge difference as they separate all the NFL. The good teams and the bad teams have a high-powered offense. I know Mahomes has a good tight end legendary career like Travis Kelce, and the Swifties who know nothing about football would agree with that. But we re-signed Austin Hooper, who had a good year last year, a really good year for the Patriots, making the most out of his opportunity. He is one of the very few offensive weapons that had a good year, as most of them didn't have they did have a disastrous season, but with no direction. Who knows what could happen, but I am excited to see how the Patriots go and respond to this, because we also got Pasternaut Joshua Dobbs as our backup to Drake May. God forbid what will happen with that, because this is a big deal, folks, because in case he gets injured, he made a splash with the Vikings a few years ago after getting traded from the Cardinals. He did do well with what he had. So in case something happens, we still need to strengthen our offensive line, as our offense has been one of the worst in league for consecutive years now. But we do got the draft coming up. You can look back at my very, very first episode to see what we did and how I think we will go with the draft. I am not going to make my predictions on who we get. It is way too early for that, as we got plenty of sports left. But we are going to move on, as we are all excited for the Patriots, don't get me wrong, but we got plenty of time, as we're going to talk more about spring training next week. And we are going to move on to the most buzz right now, even though the Celtics have won 7 games in a row. We have a ton of buzz, and it is our main event, the segment of the evening, folks. We have a ton of buzz on our hockey team, which made a lot of heartbreaking trades, seeing a lot of homegrown talent getting traded, including a Weymouth native. I am very sad about this, but the Bruins have been getting their momentum since then, which is pretty shocking to me anyways. We are going to talk about your main event, the segment of the evening. We're going to break this up to 2. We are going to talk about the Boston Bruins, recap all their trades, as the NHL trade deadline was this past Friday, folks. Our trades are in the bottom. We lost a lot of good guys, including our legendary Brad Marchand, who I'm very sad about, and we are going to recap his legacy as our main event, the segment on the show. But let's recap the Bruins, shall we? They made a ton of trades to get younger, as I reported last week on our main event. They traded Trent Frederick to the Oilers for Max Warner, a young defensive prospect with the Edmonton Oilers. Later that night, after my show went off air, they traded Justin Brazeau to the Minnesota Wild for a return of former young forward Jacob Lacko and Marek Kusanov, and the 6th-round pick we got. They traded Brandon Carlo to the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is weird, for Fraser Minton and the 2026 first-round pick and 4th-round pick in 2025 in the upcoming summer. That was a shock to me who they traded to. They also traded Weymouth native, and he had a breakout season in his rookie year in 2019. Charlie Coyle to the Colorado Avalanche for center Casey Middlestat and the 2nd-round draft pick, and a young prospect in the minors of William Zellers. But the worst of all of them, and we're really sad to see him go, he would have been an unrestricted free agent, but our legendary nose-face killer, Brad Marchand, got traded to the team who's been our kryptonite and destroying us mentally in Boston, robbing us from our historic 63-win season a few years back, the Florida Panthers. We got a 2nd-round pick in 2027, but if he plays half of his postseason games and the Panthers make a deep run this year, which they probably will, unfortunately, it will be upgraded to a 2028 first-round draft pick. But we are going to recap the Bruins right now, as they did lose a heartbreaker to the Carolina Hurricane. What an a-hole of Sebastian Aho hurting us in that game, losing 3-2. And all the trades and the fire sales started. But the Bruins played a nationally televised game at sunny Florida, like the Red Sox are playing down there, against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who, fun fact, for the past 5 years, the East has been represented in the Stanley Cup Final by the state of Florida, including the bubble win and the return to play by the Tampa Bay Lightning back-to-back. But they took on Nikita Kucherov in the Tampa Bay Lightning, who moved on from Steven Stamkos a few years ago. It started off with the Bruins getting a goal by a Pumlick's defensive turnover by Cole Kope, which made a nice deep goal. And Swayman had an amazing game, ended up having a shutout. He robbed Brandon Hagel a bunch of times, including 2 swish saves, thanks to the intense forechecking from our defense. And Hagel missed a one-timer, which really should have gone in, but Swayman's stick was tipped right here, and it deflected off in the one-timer. But our 4th line, he's becoming one of my sneaky favorite Bruins. We got a lot of young guys I got to keep up with. But Matt Kostelic scored from the neutral zone, which fooled Varilevsky, the star goalie of Tampa Bay. And Zadorov got an empty net goal. He is going to become, if he keeps this up, obviously we got a big splash after the trade as it lit a fire, as Captain David Pastrnak is all sad, potential captain, because they are not naming the captain for the rest of the season. The Bruins out-hit the Lightning 35-21. They came ready to play when everyone thought they were going to wave the white flag and surrender. We don't do that in Boston. We don't give up ever. And Casey Middlestat, our newly acquired center, set up a one-timer in his Bruin debut for Cole Kope, who also got another goal, 2 goals after that empty net goal, and it snapped the Tampa Bay Lightning's 7-game home winning streak. Is that real life? Swayman's playing the way his contract is? Is that real? I don't know. Are we dreaming? But they also played, their next game was last night, and I am so sad. I shared this on my social media, BMAdawg social media account. There was live footage. It was on the news. Brad Marchand skate practicing. He still had an upper right injury in Florida Panthers in their morning skate to warm up. The Bruins came behind to win 3-2. With all their goals unanswered. They were down 2-0 last night as they had an animated skit called "Let's Have a Snow Day," kind of like how the NFL did the Simpsons simulcast and Mickey Mouse and Friends and in the Christmas Day NBA games. It's kind of similar to that, which is pretty neat. I didn't get to see a lot from that feed, but Brad Marchand didn't play. But the Florida Panthers had their defenseman Aaron Ekblad suspended for enhancing substances for 20 games, which kind of made the difference for that team. It all started, they were down 2-0, but Casey Middlestat is making a huge impact so far for the Bruins as he set up a Pastrnak power play goal to change the momentum for the Bruins. Jeremy Swayman may have gave up a few goals, but he has gotten 24 out of 26 saves last night. Lorelei, our defenseman, got the game. Mason Lorelei got the game-tying goal, who is going to develop if they keep him. That's why they didn't trade him, which I'm very happy about. I'm also happy they kept Morgan Geekie, who may not have got any goals last night, but he has been a heart and soul of this team, continuing to play despite all the locker room drama and everything. And Pasta set up Pavel Zacha on a one-timer to get the game-winning goal. And with 3 seconds left at the end of the game, Sam Bennett, one of the best players of the Panthers, with Matthew Tkachuk still being injured, and so angry, and tried to get a knockout fight Zadorov, but Zadorov beat him 1, 2, 3. He had an assist last night, too. With 3 seconds left, he got a major penalty. He just left the locker room for a thunderous applause of the Garden Ice, folks. And that was a great way to have a 2-game winning streak, which I'm shocked to compete in. Our upcoming matchups are against Linus Ullmark and former Bruins goalie, who they couldn't keep. They traded because they would have had to pay Swayman to keep him. They are also ahead by 5 points for one of the wild card spots, including back-to-back wins against the Rangers and Red Wings, who are also somewhat tied or 2 points below the Bruins for competing outside looking in to try and get one of those spots, as the Senators and Blue Jackets have the final 2 spots in the Eastern Conference wild card. They got 4 Nations hero Brady Tkachuk, who leads the team with 26 goals. Their center, Tim Zutzel, leads the team in points with 65 and assists 45. They also have one of their aces, and Daniel Batherson, who has 49 points. They also got former Flyers ace Claude Giroux as one of their former players in their 1-2 hug duo. Linus Ullmark, it doesn't serve him right to see him in a different team. I missed it when him and Swayman would collide like a professional wrestling ring and gave a huge hug to a thunderous applause. But they also play the Lightning again at home on Saturday, who are third in Atlantic with 78 points and is led by their face of their franchise, Nikita Kucherov, who is second in the league with assists with 64, and the top 3 points getter with 92. You got Brandon Hagel, who may have not been able to score it over Swayman, but that's something you got to watch out for, folks. He is a 30-goal scorer, and Braden Point has over 30 goals and assists combined in points. And Andrei Vasilevsky is their goaltender with 29 wins, and they have what should be an easy win, but you can't underestimate. They scored 7 goals earlier this year. The Buffalo Sabres, who are long-suffering fans in hockey, who hasn't made the playoffs since the Ryan Miller days, are cursed as they have the longest NHL playoff drought in the league and is last in the Atlantic. If Pastrnak wasn't on our team, the Bruins would probably be tied with them how they played before the trade deadline. Tage Thompson is a star center who leads the team with 33 goals and 56 a point. And his second most is JJ Patrica, who had a hat trick with Tage Thompson the last time these two played. It is amazing what has happened with this team. And we are going to go a little over the hour tonight, as our main event of the evening is going to be the life and legacy of Brad Marchand and what he meant to this franchise. As don't go anywhere, folks, we are going to have one of our last commercial breaks as we go to our main eventer and our play of the week.
What's going on, Kansas City sports fans? I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host for the show. This is KC Sports, which you can find right here every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, are you looking for a show that you can watch live or listen to later on that talks about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, as well as even the Kansas City Mavericks? Or do you want to listen to a show that talks about your high school sports, whether it be on the Missouri side or the Kansas City side? Let's even talk about college. Let's talk about KU. Let's talk about K-State. Let's talk about Mizzou. And let's talk about your boys' alma mater, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. All in all, it doesn't matter. If it's Kansas City anything, we will talk about it on this show every Monday at 2 p.m. We'll talk about stuff that's happening in your area, let alone Union Station, Power and Light, T-Mobile Center. It doesn't matter. If you want to talk about it, join our segment, the Fan Interaction segment, every Monday at 2 p.m. and make sure you get your voice heard. Until then, I hope you check out the show. As always, I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host every Monday at 2 p.m. on This is KC Sports, which you can find right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, folks, welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to my third episode. It ain't over yet. It is time for our main event of the evening. I shouldn't be energized because, quite frankly, a lot of us are very sad about this in Beantown. It is my tribute to our favorite nose-face killer, and our last captain that is currently vacant right now is Brad Marchand. He had a huge legacy in the city of Boston, and since he played a few years in Providence, coming from Canada, he also played with them in the World Juniors too, and he had a lot of achievement as he was our last active player that was on our 2011 Stanley Cup team, which we beat Vancouver that year. He also was our all-time leader in shorthanded goals and overtime goals, and he had over 1,000 games with the team. He had 157 playoff games, which is fourth of all time. He had 422 goals and 576 assists. He had a great legacy with the city in Boston. And it is very emotional, very sad, as he played almost 18 years with the Boston Bruins, which is incredible if you really think about it. Obviously, his tenure was overshadowed because Tom Brady was here for a long time in, Bill Belichick. You also had David Ortiz, who was legendary with the Red Sox ever since he got traded in 2004, 2003, being a legacy player for the Red Sox. And the only players that come close to that now, it was Matthew Slater, special teams captain for the Patriots, but Jaylen Brown is the longest tenured player in Boston right now, I would say. But anyways, he had over 20 game-winning overtime goals with only 3 players, which are 2 of the past face of the franchise of the NHL, Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins and Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals, who is, I believe, at least a little over 10 goals away from breaking the great one, Wayne Gretzky's record for all-time leader in goals, which is amazing. He is only one of 8 Bruins to play in over 1,000 games with the team. He had a reputation in his first few years as an agitator, and a lot of opposing fans called him a rat, which is kind of insulting because you can find anything in our areas that you would have a personality of a rat and you can't trust around money. But anyways, he was our favorite nose face killer as in like we don't pronounce our R's in Boston. It all started when he got the 7th player award in the 2011 regular season before the Bruins were the 3rd seed and playing for the Stanley Cup and ended up winning it in 4-3 over Vancouver Canucks over the Sedin sisters, the Sedin twins, I mean. And Brad Marchand always got in their face and he told Aaron Burroughs to bite him. He was the key player when they were down 2-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals against Roberto Luongo as their goaltender. The great Tim Thomas. Tuukka Rask did play, but Tim Thomas was the one who really won us a cup and helped Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron, and even veteran Mark Recchi kept the momentum with Zdeno Chara as our captain with the physical fighting, and you had Sean Thornton that year carrying our 4th line physical to spark a fight and get momentum at the TD Garden crowd. It was a fun time. I was a senior in high school, and I missed my senior prom to go with my uncle, who was a longtime season ticket holder. Shout out to Spike for Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which Tim Thomas saved almost 60 shots, and he legit stood overhead, and he moved. I couldn't believe we even won that game as he had a remarkable turnaround. He started the year off at our 4th line, but he ended up being our 1st line with his sidekick, legendary Batman and Robin duo in Boston until the Panthers knocked them out a few years ago. Patrice Bergeron, he had 11 goals in that playoff run and tied former Flyer Jeremy Roenick for the most in NHL history among rookies. He is our all-time leading playoff scorer, who passing Cam Neely, who as a player was legendary, but as upper management, that is questionable, but not as boneheaded like Don Sweeney right now, who is not very favored in the city of Boston among fans right now due to his ability to not draft well, give up a lot of draft picks for trade deadlines in the past. He kind of learned his lesson. He picked up some younger players as the Bruins are retooling right now. Brad Marchand was passed down the captain role from Zdeno Chara and Patrice Bergeron after Chara left. He got a shorthanded goal that kickstarted his all-time leading shorthanded goal in that playoff Game 3 when they were down 2-0 to Vancouver, and it changed the whole momentum. Brad Marchand was our biggest X factor of the year. He also, 2 years later, when we made the Stanley Cup against Chicago, which still haunts me how it ended, when we let up 2 goals in less than a minute, but the Bruins were down 4-1 against the official choke in Canada's face, like the Dallas Cowboys and New York Yankees, Toronto Maple Leafs. When we came back 4-1, and with less than 5 minutes left, he got a goal and assist to tie and win and he got the game-winning goal. Patrice Bergeron and former Bruin, who had a controversial exit, Tyler Seguin, he had 100 points in the season, multiple points, and before we move on, he is the 5th player in Bruins history with over 500 points, folks. Thank you so much, Brad Marchand, for all you did in the community. You will be missed. Part of me wants you to wish you luck in the playoffs against the Panthers, who have a really stacked team already. But part of me, it's going to be tough for everyone to swallow. Hopefully he does come back, as he is an unrestricted free agent, but we are going to take one last commercial break, folks, as we will name our player of the week. Who is it going to be? I'll give you a hint. We are not going to have a 2-time player of the week this week, but let's get one more commercial break before the breathtaking announcement, and we'll sign off and preview next week's show. Stay tuned, folks, and thank you for tuning in on the Beantown Sports Pound, part of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that.
Hello, IE Sports Radio family and other sports families. My name is Alden Kay, and I want to welcome you to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you're a fan of the Valley and the Grand Canyon State like me, then I've got the show for you. Tune in every week, where I will update you and give you the latest news for the Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns, Arizona Diamondbacks, ASU Sun Devils, U of A Wildcats, GCU Antelope, and of course, the NAU Lumberjacks. Again, if you're a Valley sports fan and like all that is desert sports like me, tune in every week here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you then.
All right, folks, this is the moment you are all waiting for. Before my announcement of our third play of the week, I would like to thank for the second consecutive week over 100, around the over 90 viewers to 100 viewers for the second consecutive week on live stream on X. Thank you guys very much. And before I go to play of the week, follow us on IE Sports Radio around X to catch 30 of our wonderful teammates do a great job with their regional and national feeds on all sports alike. But here is our announcement. Who is my third play of the week? Drum roll, please. It is a Bruin. That's right, folks. My play of the week is a guy who I spoke about who is finally playing with the salary since the trade deadline. It is Jeremy Swayman, goalie of the Boston Bruins, Fenter the Hug with Linus Allmark. That is right, folks. He went 2-0 in his past two starts, including two really top three Atlantic Division Florida teams, which we all thought we were going to just wave the white flag and end the season. It is Jeremy Swayman. He had a shutout, winning 4-0 this past Saturday. My honorable mentions were either Pritchard, White, if they had stuck being consistent, and Sam Hauser had a record-breaking game at the game I went to, but he had a game where he didn't do much, same as those other guys, and Jason Tatum was hurt for a few and Brown for one. So I decided to give my play of the week to Jeremy Swayman. Congrats for your shutout and back-to-back wins. But that is all the time we have, folks. Thank you so much for putting up with me, having a little run time as usual. The Revolution will be back next week. And we also will see, will the Patriots get a star receiver by then? Will the Bruins be able to keep their momentum? And how are our hockey and college basketball teams going to do? Are we going to look forward to another college sport? Are we going to look at a new spring sport? Perhaps keep tuned and keep your eye out for your Player of the Week announcements toward the end of the show each and every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. Can the Celtics continue their winning streak as they had a tough matchup tonight? Thank you all for tuning in to over 90 viewers live stream for the second week in a row. This is me, BMAdawg. Woo! Signing off.